See, Shakir, I'm trying to be happy.
Welcome to Social Work Sunday Tea. I am Shakia Houston. It is March 14th, 2021. It's a great day to be alive and well. Today is going to be dope. It's going to be a good vibe, good experience, all that good stuff. Just wanted everybody to tune in. Make sure that you like. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff, and make sure you share. It's a great topic today. We have a special guest today. If you can just introduce yourself and we can rock out and have a good discussion.
Good afternoon, good people. First and foremost, Shakir, I want to thank you for inviting me on Social Work Sunday Tea. I appreciate it. Your theme music is dope. Opening credits and everything is just dope, awesome. And I want to thank you, sis, for providing a platform for important conversations in our community.
Absolutely.
Um, so your
Thank you.
platform is definitely needed. So kudos to you and blessing to you for producing it. I'm Bobby Marvin Holmes. I'm a licensed social worker serving children, youth, and families in Baltimore, Maryland, and throughout the state. I've been doing this work for nearly a decade. My particular focus is on supporting Black boys. I do this in various ways, whether it is on through therapy, which I do full time, or doing workshops or my program, Reflection of Kings. So I'm committed to this work, committed to the health development and success of children, youth, and families. I do this through my organization, Son of a Dream. You can visit sonofadream.com, where I offer workshops, books, films, etc., all centered around empowering children, youth, and families.
Absolutely. That's dope. What made you get into social work? What made you want to be a social worker?
Well, it was kind of one of those things where uh, you fall in love with it.
Mm,
You get into working with youth. That's how it happened. I was working with boys as a paraprofessional.
okay.
In the state of Maryland, we have programming what they call psychiatric rehabilitative programming. Uh,
Okay.
it's called in some spaces therapeutic mentoring, where we partner up with therapists and deliver mental health services with the youth, uh,
Okay.
particularly focusing on life and social skills. That's the role of a PRP counselor. And I just fell in love with the work, fell in love with engaging Black boys that needed support. They needed a safe space.
Yeah.
Um, and also engaging and partnering with families, partnering with parents to support this young man. So from doing that work, I said, you know what? I want to take a deeper dive and have a different impact with my work. So I decided to go back to school for my master's in social work and get my license so to help me further this work.
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't want to be a social worker. I keep saying it on every podcast. Like, I didn't want to be a social worker. I wanted to be a police officer. Then I was like, after I had my daughter, I was like, nah, I'm good on that.
Give me that look, Shakir, because you know what? From the time I was 12 until 18, I wanted to be a police officer.
Okay. See?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I was prepared. I went to the military and everything,
Okay.
trying to, get ready for that profession. And I would circle back to what I was doing all my life since I was a little boy, which was writing. I say, what can I do with this? And journalism,
Okay.
came. So actually, that's my background prior to, doing social work full time. I was a journalist, community journalist, and producer for public radio program. And that's where the books and the podcasts and the films from Son of a Dream comes from. I have a media background, so
Wow.
I was doing that from 2001 as a student until up until 2016.
Wow.
Just trying to find different ways to tell important stories of my community.
Wow.
Yeah, so it kind of, I fell in love with the work. I wanted
Yeah.
to take a deep dive with it. So yeah,
Yeah, we're a special type of people, to
absolutely.
be able to, take on other people's, load and try to unpack.
Yeah.
As I would say, it's pretty amazing. It's been a journey. I've been doing it for 7 years now, so I'm still a baby with it. But because I was working with psych patients, that's like my baby. Like working with psych patients, schizophrenia, bipolar, you name it. That was my first experience, and I was like, "Oh Lord, I ain't gonna be able to do this," but it became natural. But yeah, but thank you for serving, the people. And my motto, like I'm like, it's for the people, it's for the culture, period.
Right.
Period. So today's topic, we're gonna go into it. We're gonna dive right into it, and the topic is girl dad.
Mhm.
I know everybody was talking about girl dad, how Kobe Bryant, may he rest well, how he had, he has girls, how he described a girl dad. And I want to give a definition of a girl dad. A girl dad is a father who wants his daughters to have the same rights and opportunities and privileges as any boy. A girl dad empowers his daughter to carry on his legacy. That's what the Urban Dictionary says about a girl dad. What is your interpretation of a girl dad?
Um, I would say definitely that. Because having a daughter, I would say it shapes your parenting differently.
Yeah.
I remember one day my youngest daughter, Reagan, who is 10,
Mhm.
asked me would I treat her different if she was a boy. Because I have a womaness in the making in my household that she will call out sexist behavior in a minute,
Mm.
for sure. Um,
Okay.
we have some thoughtful conversations in my household. So she asked me that, would you treat me differently if I was a boy? And I
Mm.
paused and looked at her, and my wife was sitting over to the side, and she just kind of shook her head like, I don't know. I think she was waiting to hear what I would say.
Yeah.
Because I work with boys, I work with boys. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I said, I different, but doesn't mean better.
Mm.
Because you are a girl, understanding your needs are a little bit different.
Mm.
How the world look at you and responds to you is different. So
Yeah.
my approach to you have to be different.
Mm.
Just like my approach, if I had a son, my approach to him would have to be different. So different, yes, it would be. Different doesn't mean better.
Yeah.
In terms of her needs are different
Okay.
to an extent. And to the point of the definition you shared, that I think that particularly in today's time, and the time that we are in, the era that we are in the Me Too movement, we are in the thrust of cancel culture.
Yeah.
I believe it's critical for men, particularly fathers, to start having critical conversations
Yeah.
around sexism, toxic masculinity, having conversations amongst, with each other as men,
Yeah.
having conversations with boys, and certainly having conversations with our daughters.
Yeah.
about sexism and having honest conversations
Yeah.
about what that looked like. So, to your point, I agree with that definition. And I also would add it definitely shapes your parenting. And I would also say that you take that deep dive, Shakir, and it shapes you as a man.
Mm-hmm.
I became a father with my oldest daughter when I was 17 years old.
Okay.
Um, I graduated from high school that May, and
Mm-hmm.
she was born that September of
Okay.
the same year in 2000. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say to people, she is the little girl that made a man.
Mm-hmm.
Because from then on, I made decisions with my life with her in mind. And that little girl, who is now a young woman, certainly had an impact on me.
Wow. That's dope. That's amazing, actually. Because I was gonna ask that question when you said that. Like, does a switch come on when you become a father
Mm.
to a daughter? Oh, she said,
Me,
"Love you." Oh,
uh, for me, it was a switch. All right.
oh,
I was 17. I remember my father, who, needless to say, wasn't too happy when he found out his 17-year-old son
yeah.
um, got a young lady pregnant at the time. So I wasn't on his favorite person list at the time. He's driving me to work one evening, and he's upset.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, so what you going to do? And
Mm-hmm.
I responded back, with my arrogance and naivete. I responded back, take care of it. Like it was nothing. And
Right.
he just shook his head and just kept on driving like he's a complete idiot. And because he knew of course, what came with being a father. I didn't know. I had no idea, no clue. Um, I had an understanding to a certain extent,
Mm-hmm.
but that was still a small understanding, and I was trying to figure things out. I mean, I'm 17 years old in my senior year of high school, already working a part-time job. I'm on a cusp of graduating,
Okay.
months away from graduating from high school. And I still have dreams and ambitions of being a police officer and
Yeah.
going to college. I'm still in my mind. I'm still, the plan going. Everything's going to go according to what I originally planned for myself in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I got a part-time job. I was working in the food court at the mall. I got a part-time job, another part-time job, excuse me, in the same food court. Just trying to do something,
Yeah.
just trying to, because I knew the responsibility was great. So I
Yeah.
was trying to prepare for it the best I could. So that's how I responded in my 17-year-old mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone they got questions already. Um, does being a girl dad help to shape or change the way you function in your relationships?
Um, Now it does.
Okay.
I'm
Awesome.
I'm I'm older.
Mm,
I'm a two-time dad. So me becoming a father at age 17 was different than me becoming a father again later on in life.
yeah.
When I was in my late 20s, I want to say.
Okay.
So I was a different man. And even when my youngest was born, compared to then and now 11 years later,
Mm,
I still look, I'm a different man.
mm,
So just in terms of not just relationships with women and my wife, but just how I carried myself as a man,
mm,
how I engaged. I mean, it took a lot of growing up. I ain't have it figured out. The Bobby that you're saying today is not the Bobby I was fresh out of high school. Not the Bobby I was 10 years ago. Um, so just a lot of growth, a lot of growth.
yeah.
I still am wrestling with my own sexism. I still wrestle with my own toxic masculinity. It is a a work in progress for sure.
Absolutely.
So not just within, you know, romantic relationships, of course, a relationship with my wife, but um, just how I carry myself as a man in society.
Hmm. Absolutely. I got another question. What would be the biggest change you had to make in yourself once you became a girl dad?
Um, Once I became one, you know, I knew early on if I didn't know, you know, because that the girl dad terminology that's new. Uh,
Yeah, it's daddy's girls, or
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
In the year 2000, when my oldest was born, I was just focused on being a father, trying to be
yeah,
a good father, trying to be present in her life.
yeah,
At the time, I was still with my oldest daughter's mom.
yeah,
I mean, so I was focused on being a good dad.
yeah,
So to the best of my ability, what that looked like at the time, preparing for her, even while she was in the womb, preparing for her to come,
yeah,
buying, you know, things that she would need,
yeah,
still working, you know, you know, just trying to, you know, attending doctor's appointments, prenatal appointments, etc., you know, with
yeah.
her mom. And, you know, up to the day she was born, you know, I was there present in the hospital, um,
Right.
you know, and it was there to tape it all and to hold her when she came out of the womb.
Yeah,
So really, just as a father in general, just trying to be a good father, because the dad I mentioned that took me to work was not my biological father.
okay.
My biological father wasn't present in my life, most of my life, pretty much all my life. I
Yeah,
was fortunate and blessed, and my mother met and married a man that will raise me as his own.
yeah,
So I knew from that, I made a very conscious decision, Shakir, when I was a little boy, that I did not want to be like my biological father.
yeah,
Um, at a very young age, I made that decision. If anything else, I'm not going to be like him.
yeah,
So I made a conscious decision throughout my life to do things the opposite of what he did.
yeah,
Um, that definitely include being a father and being present in the life of my child. So if anything, I just knew that. Not saying, well, I got to do it a certain way if I have a girl, or a certain way because I have a boy. I didn't have that understanding then. I
yeah,
just had an understanding of be a good dad, be a good
yeah.
father.
Yeah. So what are some of the ways? Because we're gonna dive into the and I just want everybody to know we're here to help and to heal and to get a clear understanding. We're not bashing. This is not what this is for. This is to educate. Because it's for the culture. It's for the people. It's for the culture.
Hmm.
So we can educate ourselves on if you are a father, of a daughter, how to elevate and empower and out and be there. So I just want to get that out the way and let everybody know this is what this is. This is a safe space, and to elevate and educate, regarding girl dads. Yeah, girl dads. I was gonna say daddy's girls. But no, but like this is the what is your take on um as far as men? They don't. Okay, you had that take, like, okay, make a conscious decision.
Hmm.
What about the men that's not really thinking about, I want to be better than, or I want to, do something differently regarding, you know, when I become a father, like what do we do? What do we do then? Yes, we don't, the father doesn't have their father in their lives, but they become fathers. So it's
Hmm.
like, where does that take place? The conscious decision, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna try to provide something that I didn't have. So
Hmm.
like what is your take on that for men that don't take that conscious decision in being a better father?
um, I can't say as to why,
Mhm.
it doesn't click. I'm sure it varies for different men. It
Yeah,
all depends on your situation and who you are.
yeah,
I know men that did not have a father present,
Yeah.
and boom, they stepped up. They was like, you
Yeah.
know, that's not going to. I experienced that trauma of
Yeah.
yearning for this figure in my life.
Yeah.
Dealt with the grief and loss of this
Mhm.
person not being present in my life, right?
Yeah.
And now I have the opportunity presented to me to not repeat
Yeah.
that cycle.
Yeah.
Um, why, as to some, that doesn't click and realize that I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, that varies for um, every man
Yeah.
as to why. Maybe not having the tools, the understanding, the insight,
Mm.
the patience to deal with the relationship.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we have to understand is a lot of times when folks get together, there's not an agreement laid out first date
Yeah.
or second, third, fourth, fifth grade. This is going to be our life together.
Yeah.
There's no agreement before folks lay down together. It's like, all right, so you're going to pick him up when we have him. You're going to come to the prenatal visits, and you're going to buy this, and we're going to have the baby shower. No one's planning all this.
Yeah.
And you in the heat of the moment, and folks are courting one another.
Yeah.
That's those type of conversations I made. So it's not an agreement to say that we're gonna make a child, we're gonna spend the rest of our lives raising this child. That's
Yeah.
not. People saying we're gonna have a good time tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and in a lot of cases, this is the outcome. Like, ooh,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's probably with somebody that you could barely spend 5 minutes with, let alone 18 years raising a child with.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's important to.
That's another conversation.
It was the part of the agreement.
Right. Right.
Early on. So that's not what say bargain for. We all know what happens when you have unprotected sex, of course.
Absolutely.
But that is not. I don't believe that's always thought out in terms of, okay, well, now this child is here. I got to figure out how to parent with this child, be in a relationship with this person. And if the relationship doesn't work, how do you co-parent with this person?
Right.
Folks are having those type of conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, folks are just, kind of going with the flow. So again, I can't speak for every man as to why, but there are many variables that we should consider.
Absolutely.
Of expectations of me to be a father of something I didn't have.
Right.
Whether I didn't have an uncle, I didn't
Yeah.
have Mr. Johnson in the neighborhood, I didn't have a mentor. So the expectations for this man to behave in a way that he's never seen before.
Mm. Yeah.
As you can imagine, that could be pretty difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm just simply, it's a lot of variables for us to consider. There's a lot of perspectives for us to consider when we have this conversation as to why you have men that aren't present in the lives of their children.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to dive in the 7 types, or like the unhealthy father-daughter relationship. From my little notes, I got the first one, the absent dad. You have a dad that's just not there. Period. Then you also have the where it can weigh on where it can weigh on your mental. Like, man, like my dad didn't want me, like as a daughter. I'm thinking of in a daughter, because I am my dad is a girl dad. It's 3 of us. I got 2 sisters. I'm the middle child, and it's three girls. I don't see how you had, as far as being in the house with all of us like that, but it was just a lot of girl stuff, but it was cool. It was cool that you had mama, just, it was a lot going on. I don't see how he did it, but he did, so it's rough. But I know, because I can recall like some of the attitudes, and just too much. But we handle ourselves well, and he just kind of like, Okay, you Sheila. That's my mama name, Sheila. So yeah, but yeah, you just the mentality you having a father present is something totally different versus not having a father present. I know some of my friends, they don't have their fathers in their lives, so it's like they don't know what it feels like, having a father there. But yeah, but being absent, that takes a toll on you mentally. Also, the abusive father. I don't know if you want to speak on that. I never. You can be emotionally abused by your father, like what he says. And like I always say, and I tell my daughter's father, like, we kind of like piggyback and talked about this, like whatever you say to your daughter, it manifests in her head. If you say she's beautiful, oh, you're amazing, you're gonna be a millionaire. You know what? She gonna believe that.
Absolutely.
Period. When it's coming from your daddy, everything go like.
Right.
You don't have no problems. You don't get your daddy no problems. It is important that you pour into. I feel as though, me raising my daughter, it's something total. It's we have a mother-daughter relationship, but when the father get in and he's like, hey, Chelsea, my daughter named Chelsea. Chelsea, you gotta do this, that. And you like, oh, okay. And I have to keep having these conversations like, hey, you gotta pour. You gotta like drown her with, love and affection, because you don't want it to filtrate into adulthood where it can cause a rift, and you don't really, you haven't heard it from your father. Because I feel like people say the first person a girl's supposed to fall in love with is her father, not sexual way, but you fall in love with your father because he's the example of how you're supposed to be treated. This is the map. This is the roadmap. This is the blueprint of what what it's supposed to be like as far as the love and it reciprocated. So what are your thoughts on that as far as fathers pouring into their daughters, and as we say, like, whatever your dad said is gold, is golden. You can't, daddy don't do no wrong. Like whatever he says is all right with me. Versus mama, you like, oh, okay, yeah, mama, all right, I see you. But daddy, let me go ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
I see it within my own household with my own children, and I see it, with the children I serve, the youth I serve.
Yeah.
Children and youth respond to dad differently. It's just, I haven't figured it out, Shakir. Wow. But they do. They respond to men differently.
Yeah.
As opposed to when mom presents something and then dad presents something. I see it with my children. They respond to me differently than their mothers.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about pouring into, we're talking about what every child needs, right? Boy or girl.
Right.
No matter how you identify it, we're talking about validation. We're talking about affirming them.
Right.
So that is a constant practice.
Right.
That's a constant practice. That's a campaign, a lifelong campaign.
Absolutely.
Saying you're beautiful, you're smart, you're intelligent.
Yeah.
You do this. That is an ongoing practice within my household.
Yeah.
Where I have a 10-year-old that's comfortable with challenging me on sexism.
Yeah.
Because having those thoughtful conversations that she has a place and her place in this world matters.
Yeah.
And validating her as a young lady, validating her as a Black girl growing up in America.
Yeah.
That is a constant practice, day in and day out. And that's critical.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about developing a healthy self-concept, self-esteem. How do you feel about yourself as a girl growing up in America? How do you feel about yourself as a Black girl? These different identities she has.
Yeah.
Having conversations about sexuality. I had conversations with that with both of my daughters, and they're 10-year difference. One's 20, one's 10.
Yeah.
So having these important conversations about identity, and validating who they are and where they are in the space at the end. Does this mean we always agree? Of course not.
Right.
Can
Right.
I say, I would say, Shakir, it's up to you to ask my girls whether now they daddy girls or not.
Listen,
Yeah.
look, your oldest on here. I'm about to come down her road.
She will, you have to ask her.
Okay.
Because there may be some pushback. I don't know what she'll say. She might say, no, I'm not. Because because there's this perception of how a father is supposed to behave with his girls. And I didn't parent my children, my girls, from the perspective of you do no wrong and it's okay, it's all right, I'm just going to spoil you. No. I reinforce values such as hard work.
Okay.
I reinforce you get what you earn.
Yeah.
And nothing will be given.
Yeah.
I push those values to the forefront. Because I understand how life is going to be for them being Black navigating America.
Yeah.
And I'm developing my understanding deeper of life navigating this world as a girl and a woman, that nothing will be given.
Yeah.
And that I want you to understand what it means to work hard and earn your way in this life, in this world. And if you put in the work, then damn it, you deserve it.
Yeah.
So I didn't raise my daughter like, I'm gonna give you the world, I'm gonna shy you, I'm gonna spoil you. No.
Yeah.
You will earn.
Yeah.
And then once it's earned, you will have a sense of accomplishment because you didn't get it from a handout, you didn't get it from someone feeling sorry for you. It's because you put in the work.
Absolutely.
And if I set that expectation in the standard, and then you go out in the world, so that's when you go out in the world, you're navigating this world, and you're demanding what you put in the work for, not what you feel like you're entitled to, but what you put in the work for.
Absolutely.
So parenting from that perspective. I don't know if that cultivates daddy's girls.
No, someone said that's it's good that it teaches independence as well.
Yeah,
like it like with my dad, emotionally, because I was a tomboy, like, all right, Dad, we gonna shoot BB guns, we gonna shoot rats in the alley. I was that Marvel Comics. I was like the son he never had, but I think it's I think it's more so, he tells me to suck it up. Don't cry. What we doing? You gonna pout? Like, and I'm just like, but I wanna cry too. Why I can't do that? But now I'm at this where I can't just like, okay, let me go and cry about it then. But I hear his voice in my head like, suck it up. So I think the sternness of him saying, hey, suck it up, we'll keep moving, keep going, and I think that's so important. And I do that with my daughter. Like, what we doing here? Like, it's the same principles. Like, you're gonna suck it up. You can pout a little bit about it. You can cry if you want to cry. You got all rights to cry. And I enforce that because it's like in my adulthood, I'm just like, I'm a little crybaby now. But I keep it moving. But it's just like, I have to set that because being in America, a Black woman in America, we need to be seen and not heard type thing, or, I have to provide balance and keep educating my daughter. Like, hey, this is what this is. We got to keep going. Nothing was handed to us. You got to keep going. And I think that's what my dad kind of like instilled in us. Like, hey, don't depend on nobody. Keep going. Don't even depend on me. Majority of the times, like, you got to do it for yourself. And I think it's it helps me. It helped me in adulthood. You know, I can be able to withstand, and like when stuff happened, I'm like, I bet. Let me. I got it. I figured it out. You know, and versus being, I guess, a daddy's girl where you kind of like, um, you're babied and you're spoiled. You won't know nothing because when mom and daddy gone, what you gonna do?
Right.
What you gonna do? So I just think that it's so important to, you know, you have that balance where you can, okay, yeah, I'm gonna spoil you a little bit, but I'm gonna give you the necessary tool to be able to survive, you
Right.
know, when I'm gone. I think it's so important. Someone said, it said that dads being present in a young girl's life is so important, but does it really teach them how not to allow others to take advantage of them? Or is it more of emotional connection? What do you think about that?
Does it show them not for others to take advantage of them?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I mean, that's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
Consider the fact that this we as parents, doesn't matter if you are a father or mom and you're raising a girl or boy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do the best we can to prepare our children to go out in the world. We do the very best we can with what we have.
Right. Right.
Because we know our parents weren't perfect, our grandparents weren't perfect, and our great grandparents were perfect. I'm a parent, I'm not perfect. So does it mean that the way I parent mean that my children won't have anybody take advantage of them? I don't know if I could prepare my girls for everything. I know I can do my best as their dad. I can't prepare my girls for every scenario, every situation.
Yeah.
Um, and what was the second part of the question?
Or is it more of a emotional connection?
I would say it's definitely both. I mean, we are our child's first teachers, the
Hmm.
parents, good, bad, or indifferent. They're gonna take up what you taught them.
Yeah.
Following what you did and what you didn't do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's a tough part about parenting. You are your child's first teacher.
Yes.
So they're going to get a lot from you, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
So what you pour into them, what you teach them matters. It's been women that were raised and their father never had a conversation with them about sexism or toxic masculinity.
Right.
And that young woman turned out, quote unquote fine.
Yeah.
I said it quote because fine can be anyone's perception and definition. I don't want to say what's fine in someone else's eyes.
Right.
And they did not have that conversation about sexism and toxic masculinity or rape culture.
Yeah.
You have some that fathers didn't have those type of conversations. What to do in this instance with a boy? What to do in that instance? And you had some that did, and still wind up pregnant in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
So we as parents can only do our best. And I would say what makes us good parents is when we're constantly striving to be better.
Yeah.
I have a conscience, and when I do not spend time with my daughter, I feel it.
Hmm.
Um, I feel bad. I
Okay.
feel neglectful
Okay.
when I don't give her that time she needs, especially when she asks me for that time, and I say I can't because I'm working.
Yeah.
Um, so we try to do our best to be good parents. But it's a difficult act. It's a difficult act, and I don't think it's possible for any parent to cover bases. I certainly have conversations with my girls that my parents didn't have with me, and I'm sure my
Yeah.
grandparents, great parents didn't have. I'm sure,
Yeah.
especially when I hear my parents talk about that child. I'm sure I'm so I can say the generations are progressing within my
Yeah.
family.
Absolutely.
Uh, but do I cover all bases? No,
Yeah.
I don't believe I can.
Yeah.
Uh, and I would hope. And it's funny enough, my oldest said this not too long ago. You know, she said, "Dad, if I have children, I'm gonna bring them to you to learn history." And I thought it was, it's funny, and at the same time is how and I've heard it before said from someone else that it's certain tools I can't give you
Yeah.
that only your grandmother can give you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the importance of us having those strong generational supports within families.
Yeah.
Because I'm not equipped with certain things to give you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
just given my almost 39 years on this earth, I'm not equipped to give you certain things.
Yeah.
We have to go to your elders to get that.
Yeah.
Um, and my daughter, by her saying it, my oldest, by her saying it, was a flicker and a understanding, saying that I gotta bring my children back to you.
Hmm.
It takes a village, and that's what it means. I gotta bring my children back to you, to get what I don't have. I gotta
Yeah.
bring my son back to you.
Yeah.
And I believe that's where it comes. That it's not just one person's job to take care of that child.
Yeah.
It's the village job.
Definitely does. It definitely does.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it does. Because some things we don't know. Like sometimes some things we have to unlearn and learn again.
absolutely,
That's definitely, like mom
absolutely.
and them, they ain't talk about, my dad didn't come to me and talk about sex. Like, oh no,
Oh,
like versus now, it's like you gotta talk about it because it's everywhere.
right,
Everywhere,
right,
everywhere. So it's like now, yeah, now, but back then in the 80s,
mhm,
90s, no, I didn't even know what sex was. I knew Marvel Comics. How about
right,
that? You know what I'm saying? X-Men, Gambit,
right,
Cyclops. I knew about that. But like when sex came into the picture, he didn't talk about that. Even my mother, my grandfather, both of my grandfathers, they were very, they worked, you know what I'm saying? They were the providers. My mom, she talked about how my grandfather, he worked, make sure that everything was together. He was a good dad. They went to church every Sunday. I mean, that's her example of a man. That's your platform.
mm,
And if you don't have that healthy, as far as like example, it's like you go look for daddy all over again,
mm,
and you don't want that, but majority of the time that's what you find, that's what you gravitate towards, because that's what you know. And I
mm,
think in a lot of relationships, a lot of women, that do have their fathers, and they, have behaviors, I want to say have different type of behaviors, whether it be, narcissistic,
mm,
controlling, abusive, verbally abusive, you kind of gravitate towards men that are that.
mm,
You get in these multiple relationships, relationship after relationship, you get in the same person.
right,
So
right,
like, okay, what am I have to recondition, I have to unlearn that
right,
this is not healthy for me. Especially when you're trying to go and, trying to gravitate to something totally different in life, but you keep coming back to this. So it's like we said, you have to unlearn to learn again, and also, I think a lot of men, they kind of like, my question to some men, okay, what would you do, the things that you're doing now to these women, or a woman that you're encountering, you have a daughter.
mhm.
What if somebody did the same thing you doing to your daughter? It's
Can
a
I give
different
you can I
story.
give you the universal response?
Yes,
The universal response from dads is I kill him. That's
exactly. What is
the
that?
universal
Come on
response.
there.
I kill him. um, that's especially when you say setting the model for healthy relationships,
Absolutely.
and that goes back to what I was just saying in terms of you don't cover all bases.
Right.
Where it was, um, particularly for my oldest daughter. Both my daughters have different experiences. Uh,
Mhm.
somewhat, I would say, of my parents. And my youngest is getting a more mature me,
Okay.
a more patient, more gracious me. Um, where my oldest had me in my younger years. Like I said, I was fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
So I was still a youth becoming an adult, like literally a youth becoming an adult,
Yeah.
responsible for a baby, responsible for a young person. Um, I would, in all transparency, didn't always set the best example of what a healthy relationship looked like.
Yeah.
Um, and at the same time, I remember having, really, you might as well say tutorials of what type of man my oldest should not be attracted to, should not
Mm.
bring home. I remember having those conversations driving. You see that over there?
Mhm.
Don't bring that home.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't bring them home.
Yeah.
And just giving it an understanding. My expectations are high. I'm not
Yeah.
bringing them down.
Yeah.
Expectations are high. Um, and that developed, socializing my oldest daughter, with her having the understanding. Oh, whoever I bring,
Mhm.
she knows her father. Oh,
Yeah.
certain things he ain't gonna go for. Certain things he's not gonna like about you. Uh,
Yeah.
so my daughter knew, okay, I know what type of man to go for. Is he going to be perfect? No, I don't expect any man that my daughter engaged with to be perfect. I'm realistic,
Yeah.
especially if he young like I was young at one point in time, and he's trying to figure out things like I'm trying to figure out things. So I give patience and grace to who she dates, understanding he's young. However,
Yeah.
set an expectation. I did
Yeah.
set an expectation, and
Absolutely.
she's clear of that. And so in return, she set high expectations for herself.
Absolutely.
And she don't need to hear from me. She
Yeah.
knows, well, certain men she don't want for herself.
Yeah.
Certain behaviors she's not going to go for.
Yeah.
She'll tell you quick, fast, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So she don't need to call me or text me or to
Yeah.
okay or to get guidance from me. She does that for herself now because she's at that age where she's dating. She's in college and she's dating. So she
Yeah.
knows that already.
Yeah.
I mean the same thing, doing the same thing with my youngest child. As well, like not to bring that home, right? Even at age 10, like I mean, sweetheart, when you
Right.
come to age, because your father's realistic.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not my baby, not my no, no, I don't. I never. I was always realistic because I was a teenager. I knew who I was as I became a father when I was a
Yeah.
teenager. So I
Yeah.
was always realistic. So having conversations with my youngest, like, well, sweetheart, when you start dating, there's certain expectations, certain things not to do. And my youngest daughter responded to me like, "I'm. Why would you even think I would do that?"
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how she understands, and she understands or learn or starting to understand my expectations
Yeah. Keep
and
me on your
how.
toes.
So, yeah. So I hold you up in such high
Right.
esteem. Um,
Absolutely. And also accountability. She
yes,
pulled your coattail, like, hey, this
right,
is what this is. Like, what about this?
right.
And I think that relationship and that connection with the father and that's why it's so important.
Right.
You can be able to come to your father and you can talk to him. How do you feel about emotional, like as far as we have the emotionally absent father?
Um,
um they can be physically there
mhm.
but emotionally not present. I know we talked about this before, like before the live, and how I was explaining, I felt as though, my father, he was emotionally kind of like detached, so it's like he was there, but emotionally, I felt as though, he didn't know how to like, oh, he didn't really know how to like, oh, kid, or oh, Kenya or Dorica. It wasn't like that, but he was there, but emotionally, when it came to certain things, I just think that it was just a disconnect. And it's okay. My dad, he's not a bad father for that. And I just feel as though, now that I'm older, now I can connect the dots of why, because everybody has a story of why, they don't have that emotional connection in some way, somehow. Now in my adulthood, he's older now, so he kind of all like, we got grandkids, and so everything is kind of like all the like mushy and oh man, all that. But it's just back then, it's like the emotional part aspect is like, ooh, like now I know what it is, So what do you feel about emotionally absent fathers? Because they're there.
Absolutely. But I think, Shakir, in our line of work as social workers, we can't afford to just look at the what.
Yeah.
What in this case being the emotionally unavailable father. That's the what.
Right.
We got to look at the why. Why
Yes.
is he like this?
Yep.
And I believe there are many of explanations, not excuses, but explanations, because
Yeah.
explanations explain behavior.
Yeah.
So there are many explanations as to why. One being that as a man growing up, as a boy transitioning to a man growing up in America, your sense of being is tied to your ability to provide.
Absolutely.
That's what, and you're less than if you cannot. You're less than in the eyes of society. You're less than in the eyes of your community.
Yeah.
You're less than in the eyes of your family. That's why you have 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds ready to go out and risk their lives to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we live in a capitalist society that says that if you're a male, you're a boy, you're a man, you must provide.
Yeah.
And that is the definition of your existence. So, with that understanding, and you pushing along generations of men, as you talk about your grandfather, hey, well, go out and work, earn that paycheck, pay the bills, bring that check home. We think about the movie Fences
Yeah.
with Washington. What he did, he went out, worked, and brought that check home.
Yeah.
And in his mind, and you think about his character, and in his mind, I'm providing for my family.
Yeah.
And for generations, that was good enough. And having conversations about, tell me how you saw the emotional connection he had with his son. And that,
Yeah.
and saying, Dad, why don't you like me? And then he went on to spill this lecture
Yeah.
as to I don't have to.
Yeah.
I provide
I
for
provide for you. Yeah. That was
you. So if you're socialized with this understanding, that's what parenting, in a lot of men's mind, I'm a father, I'm a provider for my family.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that folks often understand that that's a critical part of a man's identity.
Mm.
It is tied to my ability to provide. And when I cannot, who am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we talk about in the context of our families, if I provided, then
Yeah.
my job by and large was seen as done
Mm-hmm.
because I came home with the check,
Yeah.
for the rent, the mortgage, keep this lights on, put clothes on your back and food in your stomach. Job done.
The end.
By and large, for generations, that was the
Yeah.
practice. And to that standard, by and large, that was a good father. That
Mm-hmm.
was what they say, a good provider.
Yes.
That's what you were labeled as. So within that context, you know, to some extent, emotional availability was almost a luxury.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like, I was almost a luxury to be emotionally available for you. And
Yeah.
particularly when you talk about toxic masculinity and sexism coming into play, like, suck it up, boy, don't cry. Like,
Yeah.
that's how boys are socialized to be in our society.
Yeah.
And so they grow up and they're emotionally unavailable. You
Yeah.
know, before they even become fathers, just
Yeah.
in a relationship, they're
Yeah.
emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
And the first go to is what? Anger. Anger is the easy emotion.
Yeah.
So that's my go to, and that's what's easy for me to express. So I think there are many layers that are important, that is important for us to unpack,
Yeah.
but trying to understand why some fathers may not be emotionally available for their children, as
Yeah.
to why is it like this,
Yeah.
that we live in a society that, you know, I can spend time with my children and
Mm-hmm.
love my children and feel good, and the children feel happy around me, but society will still say I'm not ish because I didn't come with that child support check this month.
Listen.
And that's what I'm held to, and
Yeah.
that's what my existence is held to. I'm still
Yeah.
not because I didn't pay child support.
Yeah.
How much time I spent, you know, doing homework, uh,
Yeah.
playing, you know, throwing the ball around, reading to them. Well, you didn't give a check this week.
Yeah, that's it. And it's predicated off that. And look, and I'm not even like I can't we have good fathers out here. It's
Mhm.
some doggone good fathers out here.
Right.
But women become vindictive and I gotta talk about it. They become vindictive and they plant that seed in their child's head. You know,
Mm,
oh, your daddy ain't he
mm,
ain't gonna be, you
right.
know, even for a daughter, you
Mm,
know, standpoint.
mm,
Oh, your daddy, he don't want to do this for you. He don't want to do that for you. You
mm,
know, just going off of my experience, what I encounter because I want to be transparent and open and honest about it. Even with me and my daughter's father, you know, when we divorced, and you know, I didn't say a mumbling word like Jesus. I didn't say nothing pertaining to her father in front of her. Now back closed door, that's something totally different.
mm,
But I don't want to kill that image of her father because in her mind, her daddy is the end all be all, the end, you know. So I don't say anything. So now she's coming up into, you know, she's a teenager now.
mm.
And she can see through the eyes of her own lenses what it is. So I don't gotta say nothing. So all of look, to all the mothers, don't say a mumbling word. Just I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may. You know,
Mm,
um, and some of the men they get into different in relationships, and sometimes they kind of like shun away from the child. You know, so I was telling you before, you
mm,
know, where my daughter, you know, and her father, their relationship is kind of like, I rock with you, but I don't rock with you. And you know, when she come to talk to me about, you know, her father, I'll be like, oh, okay. You know, I don't have an opinion. Like, okay, well, if that's what you feel, but it's kind of like she want me to say something. I'm just like, hey, look, you gotta talk to your daddy about that. I say that, well, that's if that's what your daddy is doing, then you know, but she sees it, you
mm,
know, and I think that, you know, and sometimes men, because of their behavior, kind of breaks their daughter's heart by their behavior. You know, some of the things that they do, and it's kind of like, dang, like, you know, what's that about? Like, I was here first. You know, you got this chick. You know, what about me? You know, and it's a lot of that, and a lot of, you know, a lot of on the flip side where women plant that seed of, you know, men. You know, and we should. Hey, if y'all doing that, stop doing that. You know, like I said, you know, don't. Yeah, somebody said bitter women can plant negative seeds in their children. Happy you said that. Yes, they can. I'm a witness because I've seen it happen. Where, you know, they, oh, your daddy ain't, yeah, your daddy don't give us nothing. He don't do this, he don't do that. But then it's like on the flip side, he trying to do something, but you're not cooperating. You know what I
mm,
mean? You're not being mature enough to say, okay, me and you didn't work out. I'm gonna do for the better good for the child.
mm,
But a
mm,
lot of women, they be bitter, vindictive, you name it, but they want to get a one up. I guess that's what the terminology now. You want to up me, you know, you want to prove a point where the child or your daughter or your child, they're suffering because of, you know, the lack of the relationship, and you're trying to stop the relationship between their dad and the girl and the father. It's a lot of that going on. So it's kind of like, what do you say to people just to encourage them to, you know, no, I'm not gonna say keep hope alive, But to like encourage them to what is your view, because time is ticking. What is your view of as far as like creating healthy relationships and bonding with the daughter, the child, or as far as a connection? What could we say to provide a good healthy relationship
between daughter and father?
Yes. Yes.
Um, I would say that's definitely always a work in progress. That men. I mean, it's very interesting in the time that we live in Shakir, that healthy fatherhood has been promoted like no other time.
Yeah.
It's endless, countless Facebook groups. I know plenty of men who have father programs or organizations or some type of initiatives promoting healthy fatherhood. So is if it wasn't before, it's damn sure cool to be a dad today. And if you're not, handling your responsibility, you're shunned. You're not considered cool, and you're not just, it's not space for you right now.
No. But what? They was not. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they was bandwagon after they did the girl dad with Kobe, and like, oh yeah, I'm a girl dad. I'm like, dude, you didn't see your kids.
The real is going to come out.
Yeah.
I mean, the real is going to come out. Like what the child's going to see what they need to see.
Yeah.
Regardless. So mom doesn't have to say anything. Dad doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
The child is going to see the truth is going to come to light, because they want to see the parent for who they really are.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. The same could be said about me. If you ask my daughters, hey, things that my father's going to, who he is, who he said he is all my life, is going to come to fruition. What's true and what's not. So in terms of those who ride the bandwagon, but I would say to any young brother that is about to become a father, him being mentored, having a safe space for guidance and support. I've done that to young brothers that were young fathers and entering the realm of fatherhood and needing guidance support. I provided that for young brothers. Encouragement, a talk, showing up in court, providing safe space for fathers. I think that's definitely needed.
Yeah,
that is definitely, in terms of, because we can get into the absent fathers and the bashing and all that, but really that's not even helpful. Having a space for that brother to see what are some of the challenges and the barriers. Because another part of that is some men give up because navigating and managing the relationship with mom is too difficult and overwhelming. And you get to the point where I can't do this anymore. So they step away. Because it's just too challenging. Interfering with my relationship with my daughter was the best way and the only way to hurt me. Because I can accept that, hey, the relationship was over. But attack to my soul was through that little girl. That was the kryptonite and the Achilles heel. Take her away from me. Or tamper with our relationship. That was the way to hurt me. So when mom used that as weaponized that relationship, it destroys, man. It destroys. It can destroy a man's will. Definitely had some. It did not destroy my will, but Shakir, it had a blow. I took some blows. It definitely took some blows to my will. Because it's very is hard on your mental and emotional state of trying to manage a difficult relationship for the sake of the child. And oftentimes men feel powerless in those type of positions. Like, I go to court, she's going to win. outside of court, she's going to win.
Mhm.
So it can be overwhelming and stressful to
Yeah.
deal with this type of situation. So I'll say for any fathers, for any young fathers, find a community, find a safe space to receive support,
Yeah.
encouragement to keep going.
Yeah.
Not those who's going to bash mom and
Yeah.
put a lot of foolishness in your head, but
Yeah.
it's provide you some support and guidance as you try to navigate fatherhood
Yeah.
and co-parenting. Lord knows people did it for me. Lord knows I needed it,
Mhm.
and I provided that for others. So I'll say, basically those fathers need mentors too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's this a good discussion. Good space and good vibes and all that good stuff. Like it is very important. Like the father daughter relationship is totally important. Like uh, I don't know what else to say about it, but it's definitely
It's critical.
yes.
It's critical.
Yes, it's kind of like it kind of shaped the woman that you will become. I know for me, from my experience, it definitely it shaped me. And then even now, my dad is older. He be dropping jewels. I'd be like, oh, okay, but he was there. He was there. Like even now he's there. Even in this age, I know I can, as a defender, like they used to call him the Hulk, right? Because he be Hulk smashing everything. Like, don't do it, don't. But I appreciate that. I appreciate you getting on this platform and giving good
And
advice.
to your point, Shakir,
Yeah.
that it makes good men.
Yes.
It makes good men.
Yeah.
It is well. Fatherhood makes men better men.
Hmm.
And particularly being a girl dad, shapes you to be a better man towards women.
Hmm.
And it's a journey.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I have arrived.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm giving my testimony on this Sunday on Sunday's Tea on what it has done for me thus far and what it continues to do for me.
Absolutely.
Um, and I stumble on this journey. I slip and fall on this journey, but I get back up and to
Absolutely.
continue this journey because it makes me a better man. And it makes me a better man towards women. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Yeah, this is it's for the culture, it's for the people. Definitely want to hear from a male perspective and a man, ooh, but it's greatly like this was dope. This won't be the last time, Bobby. Like we're gonna have to do something else. You know what I'm saying?
Let's connect, sis. Let's
Yeah,
get
I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna set that thing up, and it's gonna get greater. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tune in next week. I forgot what was next week's title, but I have it for y'all posted. But no, like, how can everybody find you, Bobby? I know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Find me right here on Facebook at Son of a Dream. Son as in father, son. You can see it in my shirt right here. Son of a Dream. You can also visit my website at sonofadream.com. Find out all the work I'm doing as far as my workshops, films, books, podcasts, my program for boys, all that good stuff. So sonofadream.com.
Cool. My dog barking in the background, Lord. But yeah, everybody tune in next week. I love you guys, and you guys have a great and awesome rest of the Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share, like, follow, subscribe on YouTube, and yeah, be well. Love you guys.
Thank you.